The U.S. government planned to nuke the moon. During the Cold War, the United States was desperate to show dominance over the Soviet Union. In 1958, the Air Force proposed a classified project called A119. The goal was to detonate a nuclear bomb on the surface of the moon. The explosion would be visible from Earth and act as a show of power. Scientists were concerned about radioactive fallout drifting back to Earth. They were also worried about permanently contaminating the moon. The plan was ultimately abandoned because the risks outweighed the propaganda value. The project remained secret until decades later when documents were declassified. The government hid a near-nuclear war caused by a computer error. During the Cold War, early warning systems were extremely sensitive. In 1983, Soviet satellites falsely detected incoming U.S. nuclear missiles. The alert reached the highest levels of Soviet command. Protocol demanded immediate retaliation. One officer, Stanislav Petrov, noticed inconsistencies in the data. He chose to report it as a false alarm instead of launching nukes. His decision likely prevented global nuclear war. The incident was kept secret for years and only admitted after the fall of the Soviet Union. The CIA secretly ran illegal prisons around the world. After the attacks of September 11th, the CIA created a network of black sites. These were secret prisons located outside the United States. Suspects were held without trial and interrogated using enhanced interrogation techniques. These included waterboarding, sleep deprivation, and stress positions. The locations of the prisons were denied for years. Investigations later confirmed they existed in countries like Poland, Romania, and Thailand. The U.S. government eventually admitted the program. Official reports concluded that the methods used amounted to torture. The U.S. government tested nerve agents on subway passengers. In the 1960s, the U.S. Army wanted to understand how chemical weapons spread in enclosed spaces. They secretly released harmless simulants into subway systems. Cities included New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. Passengers unknowingly inhaled the substances during their daily commute. The public was never informed. Documents revealed the experiments decades later. They were meant to simulate how deadly nerve agents would behave in real attacks. The government secretly monitored UFOs for decades. For years, officials claimed UFOs were misidentified aircraft or weather balloons. Behind the scenes, the U.S. military tracked unexplained aerial phenomena. Programs like Project Blue Book and later ATIP collected thousands of reports. Pilots described objects that moved faster than known aircraft. Videos and radar data were classified. In 2020, the Pentagon officially released footage confirming the encounters were real. The government admitted the objects were unidentified and unexplained. The U.S. government knew about climate change decades ago. In the 1970s, government scientists warned that fossil fuels would heat the planet. Internal reports predicted rising sea levels, extreme weather, and global instability. These findings were shared with policymakers. Instead of acting, the information was buried. The public was told the science was uncertain. Decades later, those early predictions proved accurate. Documents show the government understood the danger long before public debate began. The FBI ran fake activist groups to entrap citizens. During the Cold War and beyond, the FBI infiltrated political movements. Agents posed as activists and encouraged illegal actions. Once individuals participated, they were arrested. The goal was to discredit movements and justify crackdowns. This tactic was denied publicly. Court cases and leaked documents later confirmed the practice. It raised serious questions about free speech and government overreach. The U.S. secretly tested weather manipulation. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. ran Operation Popeye. The goal was to extend the monsoon season by seeding clouds. They hoped to flood supply routes. The operation lasted for years and was highly classified. Once revealed, it caused international outrage. It led to treaties banning weather warfare. The government later admitted the experiments were real. The government knowingly covered up toxic water contamination. For decades, residents near military bases were exposed to poisoned drinking water. At Camp Lejeune, chemicals from fuel and solvents seeped into the water supply. Thousands developed cancer and other illnesses. Officials knew about the contamination, but delayed action. Internal reports were hidden. Years later, the government admitted the cover-up. Victims are still fighting for full accountability. The CIA secretly experimented with remote viewing. During the Cold War, the U.S. feared the Soviets were using psychic spies. This led to Project Stargate. The CIA funded experiments in clairvoyance and remote viewing. Participants attempted to see distant locations using only their minds. The program ran for over 20 years. Officials claimed it produced usable intelligence. It was eventually shut down and declassified. Documents confirmed the government seriously pursued psychic warfare. The U.S. government monitored Americans' mail for decades. From the 1950s to the 1970s, intelligence agencies ran mail surveillance programs. Letters were secretly opened, photographed, and resealed. Targets included activists, journalists, and foreign correspondents. The public had no idea. The program violated constitutional protections. It was exposed during congressional investigations. The government admitted it had monitored millions of private letters. The government secretly sterilized marginalized populations. Throughout the 20th century, forced sterilization programs existed. They targeted disabled people, prisoners, and minority communities. These programs were justified as public health measures. Thousands lost the ability to have children without consent. The practice was hidden or denied. States later admitted what had happened. Some governments have since issued apologies and compensation. The U.S. government staged fake battlefield victories. During multiple wars, officials exaggerated or fabricated success. Body counts were inflated. Enemy strength was minimized. The goal was to maintain public support. Classified reports showed commanders knew the truth. The Pentagon Papers later confirmed widespread deception. They revealed how the public narrative differed from reality. The CIA secretly funded extremist groups. During the Cold War, the CIA supported radical groups to fight communism. Weapons training and money were provided. Some of these groups later turned into major security threats. Officials denied responsibility. Documents later showed the support was intentional. The blowback reshaped global terrorism. The government tested surveillance technology on cities first. Before mass surveillance became public, it was tested quietly. Cities were used as experimental zones. Cameras, license plate readers, and tracking systems were installed. Citizens were never informed. The programs expanded after proving effective. Only years later did officials admit cities were used as test environments.
The U.S. secretly experimented with mind-reading computers. In the 1960s and 70s, DARPA funded research into early brain-computer interfaces. They tested whether machines could interpret brainwaves to predict decisions. Participants included soldiers and volunteers. The work remained classified for decades. Documents now show that the government seriously pursued using technology to read minds for intelligence purposes.